this real quick. There's quite a few pages for today. So we're looking at presenting data graphically. So there are multiple different ways that you can put your data into a graph. And it's important that you do know how to do that, because for your assignment, you're going to have to create a survey for the rest of the class and then put it into a graph one way or another. So when we look at this, we have one variable statistic. So every data entry collected is measuring the same unknown. So we're looking for the same answer. We're looking for the same question. In tabular form, it can be difficult to identify trends in the data. So you need to sort it and organize it. So when you're looking at, like, this is a tabular form, super disorganized. You can't look at that and be like, oh yeah, more people like this than that. It just needs to be sorted and organized. So the data can be recorded in several different ways. There are three types that we're going to look at. So we're looking at the frequency tables. So for example, I'm going to have to zoom this out a little bit. So for example, we have the students in two high school physical education classes measured their maximum vertical jump. The results are given in the following table. Organize the data in a frequency table using appropriate intervals. Okay, so we can assume that our lowest amount is going to be 0. Okay, and then if we look around, like our highest would be like 60. I don't think we see any 65 or anything like that. So our very last one is going to have to be 60. So I think it's best to jump by tens as our intervals. So 10, and then we would do 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41, 50. Whoops. Actually, there is one between. 51 to 60, and then we'll do 61 to 70, because there is one somewhere there that is above 60. I don't see it at the moment, but okay. So what you're gonna, right. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cross out, you're gonna do your tallies and cross out the numbers. So 31 here would go into tally here. 24 would go into here. 19, 44, 63, 12. Okay, so you continue on like that. I know the answers. I'm not going to spend all of our time going through that. You would continue on like that, and then you would count how many. So between 0 and 10, there were 0. Between 11 and 20, there were 10. 21 and 30, there were 16. 12, 8, 3, and 1. So this is a frequency table. So you can see here that the maximum vertical jump that was like most consistent, or the most of, was between 21 and 30. So that kind of helps us. We would have never been able to gather that in this colossal mess. So you have to put it into a table like this in order to understand it. So I'm going to clear this, and we're going to keep moving forward. So you can display by categories or variables. So we have another example. We have another way of doing it through a bar graph. So when you're doing a bar graph, it's important that you have a title, that you have a description on each axis, meaning what are we measuring, and so on, as well as our units. You need to put your units on there if it's needed. The height of the bars are readable from the graph. The spacing between the bars, that's not supposed to have a D. Disadvantages of it is that it can only be used to represent one variable. And depending on the horizontal axis scale, relative frequency can be misleading. So this is what a bar graph looks like. And we're going to look at a few questions here. I'm going to zoom out again. That way we can see all the questions that go along with it. So when we're looking at this, how many more people liked country better than rock? Okay, so country we see here was 20 and a rock was 10. So we would say that 10 people liked it better than rock. What is the total number of people that were surveyed? So what you're gonna do, we have rap that had 5, you add them all together. Rock had 10, country had 20, classical had 10, and hip hop had 15, which gives us a total of 60. If 120 people were surveyed, how many people would you predict would choose classical music? So here we're looking at our classical music. We had 10 people out of the 60. So 10 out of 60 liked classical music. Now what happens if we had 120? So this is quite easy if you know your fractions. So to get from 60 to 120, we multiplied by 2. So we're going to do the same thing here. So it would be 20 people is what we would predict. What percentage of people surveyed liked rap? So here we look at rap. So 5 out of 60. And because we're doing percentage, you need to multiply by 100. So 5 over 60 times 100 is 83%. No, that doesn't seem right. Not even close. 5 divided by 60 times 100, so it's 8.3. So the document I was reading did not have a decimal. So it's 8.3%. So I'm going to clear that. We're going to look at another type of graph. So we have a circle graph, or what we also call a pie graph. So it's a circle divided into sectors whose areas are proportional to quantities represented. Central angle is the measure of proportion in a circle graph. So the central angle is 360, and then times the percent of the data. So a disadvantage is that if there's too many data points, the graph is going to look messy and confusing, and it gives no actual value. So it doesn't give you like an actual number. It just gives you an angle, and you kind of just say, oh, approximately like 10 people liked blue. So it doesn't give you like the exact number, and that's an issue with this. So an example, using the following data on favorite colors, find the central angle, then create a circle graph with that data. So to find the central angle, what you do is you take the total of the frequency. So in this case, there was 22 people that were asked. So you take how many people liked blue, so there were 6. How many people were there in total? There were 22. And then times 360 degrees, which gives us a total of 98 degrees. So hopefully we didn't lose that data. My internet cut out, so I'm really hoping I didn't lose my video because we're almost done this lesson. I guess we'll see once I'm done. So like I said here, we do 6 divided by 22 times 360, which gives us 98 degrees. Oops. Here we would do 2 divided by 22 times 360, which gives us a number 32. 4 divided by 22 times 360, which gives us a total of 65. 3 over 22, which gives us 49 degrees. Okay. and 32 degrees. Okay, we're not going to do the pie graph together right now. So with this, you would use a protractor. You would start at one line, do 98 degrees and label it blue. You would go to the next line, do 32 degrees, label that yellow, and so on and so forth. I can't really do that on a computer. I don't expect you guys to do it on a computer. I do know that Microsoft Word does do it for you guys, I believe. So if you wanted to for your assignment, you can go right ahead and do that. And then we have our last one, which is a histogram. So it's similar to a bar graph. The horizontal axis is divided into equal intervals or bins. Intervals or bins must be consistent. You must have a title, a description on the axis. There's no spaces between the bar. And that's the difference between the bar graph and the histogram, is that there's no spaces between the bars are glued together. Disadvantages, the specific data points are lost due to intervals. So it's the same thing as your frequency table. So we're going to use our frequency table. We're going to have to think of a title. So I don't even know what they were measuring anymore. Maximum vertical jump. Okay, so you're going to label the side. I lost my page again. So this is going to say frequency. I'm going to try writing upside or sideways here. Frequency. Okay, you're going to label the numbers. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure you guys don't want to sit here and listen to me count. 16. Okay, and then here you have your intervals. Okay, and here we have 0 to 1 or 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40. Okay, so for our first, we saw that there was 0. From 11 to 20, there were 10. So what you do is you go to your 10, you make a line, and then you draw it in. Obviously on paper, you guys would do a lot better. Okay, and you make a bar just like that. 21 to 30, we saw 16. So you go to the top, you make a line like that, you draw it in. Okay, very great drawing. It looks a lot better on my paper. The next one was 13. And these numbers are coming from that frequency table that we made at the start. Next one is 7. And then 3. And then 1. Okay. And that is all. That is your Tuesday. Good luck on the practice questions, and I will talk to you guys later.